You're probably thinking one of the red flags that you need to quit drinking is hitting rock bottom. Having your license suspended, getting a DUI, losing your job, or ending up in hospital. But here's the thing, those aren't red flags, they're disasters. And if you're waiting for a disaster before making a change, you're being reactive rather than proactive. Today, I'm going to share with you 7 red flags that smart, successful people look for as a sign to quit drinking before they hit rock bottom. If you recognize any of these red flags, I'll explain exactly what you need to do. But first, let's get into the red flags. Number 1, you start to feel a subtle shift in how your family sees you. Maybe it's the way that your wife's expression slightly changes when you reach for that third drink, or how your kids don't run to greet you excitedly in the evenings anymore. It's not that you're a bad parent or a spouse, far from it, but you can feel this small erosion of respect. There are tiny moments when you're not fully present with them because you're thinking about when you can have the next drink, or you're simply exhausted and with a fuzzy head, so you're not on the floor playing with your kids. Instead, you're lying on the sofa, scrolling mindlessly on Instagram. I remember talking to a client, let's call him Mike, and he said something that's going to hit home for many people. He said to me, I'm not fooling around drunk dad, and I'm not a bad dad, but I'm simply the dad that's checked out, who's there physically, but not really there. And he told me, I see my kids growing fast and I'm losing the time to connect with them. This subtle shift in family dynamics isn't just about the drinking. It's about the growing gap between your values and how you're actually showing up. And if that first red flag hit close to home, this next one might be even harder to face because it's the one we rarely talk about, but it's the silent burden many people carry. You've started drinking in secret, or you find yourself lying to yourself or other people about how much you're really drinking. Maybe it's those quick drinks before you go home, or it's the empty bottles you hide in the recycling bin under other trash. Perhaps it's more subtle, like saying I've only had a couple when you're 4 drinks in, or downplaying how much you've drunk to your wife, or even saying to your wife you haven't had a drink when everyone knows that you have. Now here's the thing, you're not hiding it because you're a dishonest person. You're hiding it because deep down there's a gap between who you know yourself to be and this drinking behavior that simply doesn't align with your self-image. These lies aren't about deceiving others. They're about avoiding the truth that you're not ready to face yourself. I had a client who was a respected business owner, and he told me something that stuck with me. He said, I realized I was living a double life. In business meetings, I'm the confident leader making million-dollar decisions, but then I'm the same guy hiding wine bottles in the recycling bin at home, lying to my wife. And that contrast really ate away at him every day. The moment you start managing people's perceptions of your drinking is the moment you should pause and ask yourself why. Because successful, confident people don't need to hide normal behavior. Now, the next red flag, this is the one that usually makes people pause the video and take a big breath. Because it's about that voice in your head that just won't stay quiet. It's something that keeps you up at night. You know, deep down, that you're not living up to your full potential. And that awareness is starting to really get under your skin. And I know this one personally because I lived it. I used to tell myself that being a high achiever meant that I could handle my drinking. After all, I was performing well enough that people thought I was giving 100%. But I knew the truth. I was only operating at 60% of my potential. And I was using the external validation as an excuse to keep drinking. And the question that kept nagging me was, what would 100% Emma actually look like? What could I achieve if I wasn't dragging around this invisible weight? And let me tell you, when I finally took a break from alcohol, I was shocked at what I was truly capable of. The clarity, the energy, the drive. It was like I'd been playing life on hard mode for years without realizing it. And the real cost isn't just the drinking itself. It's in all of the compound interest of potential that you're leaving on the table. Every morning you could be planning, every evening you could be learning, every weekend you could be building. Your future self is watching you make these trades, trading your potential for temporary relief. But here's where it gets interesting, because this next red flag is specifically for those of you who have big dreams. The ones who know they're meant for more. You're an ambitious person and you've got stuff to do, real stuff, big stuff, the kind of goals that require your full focus and your full energy. Maybe you're building a business, maybe you're going for that promotion, maybe you're writing a book or starting a side hustle. But here's what happens. Your weekend spent recovering instead of building. Your evenings dissolve into wine instead of working on your dreams. Your mornings are spent fighting through brain fog instead of attacking your goals. And look, I get it. We've all heard of those success stories about entrepreneurs who built these empires while partying hard. But here's what they don't tell you. Those are the survivor stories. For every person who made it working while drinking, there's thousands of ambitious people who have dreams that got delayed or derailed because alcohol kept stealing their best hours. Think about it. Alcohol doesn't just take away the hours that you're drinking. It takes away the hours before when you're thinking about drinking. It takes away the hours when you're recovering. And most importantly, it takes those precious hours of peak performance, where your mind is the sharpest and your energy is the highest. It's like trying to climb a mountain with weights around your ankle. Can it be done? Sure. But why would you choose to make it harder on yourself when you've got mountains to climb? Now, if you're still watching, chances are you've recognized at least one of these flags. But this next one, this is where it gets personal. And this red flag hits close to home for a lot of people. You keep making and breaking rules around your drinking. Let me explain what I mean. You tell yourself, I'll only drink on weekends, and then it becomes, well, Thursday's basically the weekend, it's a mini Friday. Then Wednesday starts to feel like Thursday. Or maybe it's, I'll just stick to 2 drinks today. But 2 drinks become 3, 3 becomes, well, I've already had 3, so what's one more? Here's what's really happening. You're negotiating with yourself. And every time you break one of these rules, you're not just breaking a drinking rule, you're breaking a promise to yourself. Each broken promise chips away at your self-trust, your confidence, your sense of control. I remember speaking to a client who was a negotiator for a major company, and he said something that really stopped me in my tracks. He said, I can close $1 million deals and hold my ground with the toughest executives, but I can't win a negotiation with myself about the 3rd glass of wine. And that's the thing about making rules around drinking. It's exhausting. The mental energy you spend making rules, breaking rules, feeling guilty, making new rules. It's like having a second job when you're both the boss and the employee, constantly in a performance review that you're failing. The real question isn't about the rules themselves. The real question is, why do you need so many rules for something that's supposed to be enhancing your life? The 6th red flag seems innocent on surface. You're drinking daily, but it's just 1 glass of wine with dinner. I hear you say this. It's just a couple of beers that unwind. But here's what most people don't realize. It's not about the quantity. It's about what that daily ritual represents. When something becomes so embedded in your daily routine that you can't imagine a day without it, that's not a habit anymore. That's a dependency. Imagine somebody told you that you couldn't just have those 1 or 2 drinks a day for the next 30 days. Does that make you feel uncomfortable? Anxious even? That reaction right there, that's what we need to talk about. I remember when somebody bet me that I couldn't go 30 days without drinking. My immediate reaction wasn't, this is going to be really easy. Instead, I felt that knot in my stomach. I started thinking, what will I do in my evenings? Like, how will I relax? How will I celebrate? How will I spend time with my friends? How will I deal with stress? And that's when it hit me. I'd outsourced all of my coping mechanisms, all of my relaxation, all of my celebration to this one substance. That's a lot of responsibility to put on a glass or 2 of wine. That daily drinking isn't just a drink. It's become your emotional support system, your stress relief, your reward system, your off switch. And when one thing becomes everything, that's not balance, that's dependence. But here's the truth. Normal pleasures don't need daily maintenance. You don't need ice cream every day. You don't need a massage every day. So why have we convinced ourselves that we need alcohol every day? And the 7th and final red flag, you've tried to quit before and it never stuck. Maybe it was dry January, maybe it was a health kick, or maybe you just wanted to prove to yourself that you could do it. But here's what makes this red flag different to the others. It's not just about the drinking anymore. It's about your relationship with your own word and with yourself. See, every time you try to quit and you don't succeed, you're not just failing to stop drinking, you're reinforcing a story about yourself, a story that says, I can't do this. And that story starts to seep into other areas of your life. I hear people say things like, I just don't have enough willpower, or maybe I'm not meant to be somebody who doesn't drink. But here's what they're missing. It's not about willpower. It's not about what kind of person you are. The reason most people don't succeed in quitting isn't because they're weak. It's because they're trying to solve the wrong problem. They're trying to take something away without understanding what that something is giving them. Think about this. When you tried to quit before, Did you just try to white knuckle your way through it? Did you focus on what you were losing rather than what you were gaining? Did you have a plan for how you were going to handle the stress, celebration, social situations? This is why I don't actually tell people to quit drinking. Instead, I invite them to get curious. Take a break, 100 days. Not forever, just 100 days. Long enough to see what's on the other side of alcohol, and long enough to understand the role that alcohol has really played in your life. Because here's what's fascinating. When you approach it from a place of curiosity rather than deprivation, everything changes. It's no longer about what you're giving up. It's about what you might discover, who you might become. And if you've recognized several of these red flags today, if you felt that knot in your stomach as I've been talking, I want you to know something. That discomfort you're feeling, that's not a sign to stop listening. That's your intuition telling you it's time to get curious about your relationship with alcohol. In the description below, you'll find a link to book a call with me. Not to quit drinking, just have an honest conversation about what you've noticed in your own life and explore what a 100-day break might look like for you. No pressure, no judgment, just curiosity. But remember, you don't have to wait for a rock bottom moment. You can choose to be proactive. You can choose to get curious. You can choose to explore what life might look like on the other side. And let me give you a little hint of what's awaiting for you on the other side. Fucking amazing. So if you're curious, book a call and I'll see you in the next video.